Good morning.
What's up, everyone?
It's Thursday. We are here in the middle of the ice storm and back for our weekly coffee break. Michael,
What's
how
up?
you
How's
doing?
it going? Feeling good, man. Kids are out of school, so I got four kids around the house today. That's always fun. They're out of school today and tomorrow. So yeah, we're gonna get out into the snow and or the ice and
Nice.
see if we can't find maybe a place to go like sledding or something like that.
Heck yeah.
Maybe watch some movies, build a fire, eat some chili,
Yeah. Yeah, last
play some
night, man,
games.
I was like, dude, I full on entered into like ice mode, vacation mode. I'm like, you know what? Nothing's happening at 6 p.m. to, the winter warning. In Dallas, we just shut down. Like this is a very normal day across the country for a lot of places, but
Right.
we aren't equipped for this, and so I'm totally okay with it. It's a nice little holiday.
It feels good, because I think this kind of will lead us into some of our topic today. But
Mhm.
I've really been kind of thinking a lot lately on like how many like all of these shoulds I put on my life, like should do this, should do that, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And I hear that a lot, it's like whenever I feel that like contempt or self-judgment or shame against myself, it's like the on the other side of that or in with that is like you should be doing this. And I felt that like this morning, like when I got up, it's like I woke up and I felt like you should be like getting ready for work, you should be like, calling some clients, you should be posting on Instagram or something like that. And I'm just like letting myself sort of enter into this like day of rest, and
Yeah.
maybe tomorrow might be a day of rest as well, and really understand that, this maybe this like ice storm is like a small blessing, like a little reset for us across the DFW Metroplex.
Heck yeah. I mean, well, obviously there, I can't help but to think about the homeless and
Yeah.
maybe those who have lost power. I checked the power grid this morning. Doesn't seem like we've had the ERCOT said our on their website this morning that we've got the right amount of demand and up supply. So thankful for
Yeah.
that. Um, but my Esther's therapist, you said she always is like people should all over themselves, you know,
Exactly. Yeah, we
and
should. Yeah, exactly.
it's such an unhealthy thing to do, but we do it. Good to be aware of.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
Yeah.
started this conversation earlier this week about just kind of like, I kind of transformed it into what is success, but it's just these mindsets around our day-to-day life, what we're going after, and this kind of, I think what we're alluding to the conversation is, what is success or like the difference between living for something or to something and from something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So tell me
Yeah.
what, or we can go all over the place, but I mean, when you hear me say that, what comes to mind?
Yeah, a lot of things come to mind, but I think like about 3 weeks ago I was feeling, and I've been through these like cycles in my story in my life, burnout, of kind of getting off the path, if you would, or being stuck, or feeling lost, or feeling hopeless, or all these things. And so I found myself kind of feeling that way a few weeks ago, and so I sat down with my friend Bo Bollinger, and we were chatting, having some coffee, and I was just kind of sharing with him like where I was, and he's a great hairstylist in the industry, but more than that, I mean, he's just a great like person, and the energy and presence
Yeah,
that he carries. And he's like, yeah, it's just like a kind of a beacon of hope. Or when I look at like Bo's life and I kind of think of someone that I want to be like, I would, or someone that I would want to be like kind of present or aware, or,
yeah,
doing the things that I love. It's someone like this guy. So we're sitting down and he's like, what, like the first question is like, what is success to you?
really? He asked you
And
that?
he asked me that. Yeah,
Interesting.
he's like, what is this definition of success? And in the moment, like I couldn't answer, and I still don't know if I can fully answer that question. But all these ideas for me started coming up, like financial stability,
Mm.
owning like certain, like owning a home or having a certain amount of money in the savings account or being invested in crypto or owning NFTs or, all these like materialistic things like started to pop up. And
Yeah.
as I've been unpacking that like kind of idea of success, I've been realizing like more, it's not about a thing. It's not about an achievement. It's not about like setting a goal and meeting this goal. It's really about finding and discovering your purpose and living from that place and for that place. And the more and more that I unpack this, and I realize like a lot of our, like my purpose, and I think a lot of everyone's purpose is like really tied to servanthood. It's really tied to being true to oneself, like being true to who you are and finding that path of discovery of who you are and what you can give and all of these things. And I'm really believing that as we sort of discover this, what true success is, not monetary success, not things, not all of the like what the world or our social group would define as success, but actually what is true success to us and what is our true purpose. And I find that like with my 4 kids and my wife and the people that come into my chair, and it's not just about giving a good haircut, but actually about connecting with them on a level that inspires me, on a level that inspires them, and looking for ways that I can be generous and give back and serve. So a lot of these things are wrapped up into my success. But what I'm finding is that I have the answers inside of me. Um, that it's not this external purpose. It's not like, what am I supposed to be doing? What should I be doing? How should my life look? It's actually, I'm finding something deeper inside of me that has the answers, really. And that as I discover my purpose and I lean towards that, what success is, things start to fall into place. Relationships start to fall into place, like financial gains or whatever that is, like start to fall into place. And so yeah, there's this idea that I'm kind of discovering that like I've always looked for this like external help, this
Mm.
external sign, this external of like, this is going to get me where I need to be. Like I'm going to post this something on Instagram and it's going to get me like followers, or I'm going to get this many followers and then I'm going to get this place, or I'm going to do this like model's haircut and she's going to post it on her Instagram and I'm going to get a bunch of clients. Or it could
And
be
I'll
anything,
make,
right? Like
and then
things.
I would have made it. And then
And
I
then
made it.
yeah,
You
yeah. Or
know,
I'm gonna, yeah, yeah. And the thing is, and so I found myself like pursuing success in all these areas. But the thing is like when you're pursuing these things for success, this external success, these external things, finances,
yeah.
money, relationships, sex, drugs, alcohol, food, whatever it is, you're always gonna find yourself pursuing those things for purpose. It's never enough.
Okay.
That never,
Yeah. And
it's just,
so,
it's this
so I want
ethereal
to,
carrot that's being dangled
sure.
in front of our face.
So you've already said so much. You've already said so much. And it's like so much has already come to my mind. So you kind of talked about like, um, you talked about all these different things, oh God, it's like hard to, I felt like there was so much I wanted to touch on that you were sharing, but it's like all these things you were defining as success, really, they're not bad things. Owning the
No,
investments, these are all great things to
yeah,
do. And so I think that, it's kind of like we have this tendency to, like, oh my God, like, whoa is life. Like, what am I doing with my life? I'm just pursuing all these things. So you throw all that away, and then it's like, well, that's not the right answer. So, I kind of had this, we're all on this life journey of figuring out what the purpose of life is. Essentially, that's kind of what we're talking about here. Like the biggest question, the biggest longing of everybody's heart. And you said that it's what you're coming to realize is like whatever you're chasing really is already inside of you. And so there's this two kind of concepts that I've been kind of playing around with. But one is, so the best way for me to kind of describe all of this and like how when I feel like I'm looking at this in a great way, it's like as if our life is a garden. So
yeah,
we we it's like it's not instant. There's nothing that's like instant about a garden, you know what I mean? Except for what you've already planted that's grown, you can go enjoy. And so
Yeah.
we have our hands and our bodies and our minds and our mouths and that all cultivate this garden that's our life, that makes up our life, which is the people we spend it with, the what we do for a living, how we take care of our home that we live in, you know. So when you paint the walls, I mean, that's taking time to like cultivate your garden, you know, and then you have a little bit more to enjoy at home. And so all of that to say, it's like, you know, I mentioned to you this earlier this week, but I had this moment where I felt inspired to read the Bible. And you know, I mean, I read the Bible here and there. I love the Bible, but a lot of times I don't want to read it or whatever. I won't just read it to read it, you know, like I want to have what I believe is like revelation from God, you know, and so I felt inspired in the middle of the night to read, and I read Ecclesiastes, and this scripture just so good. It says there's nothing, and he's like, everyone can relate to it. If you have these thoughts about, he's like, the sea runs into the ocean, but the ocean isn't full. You know, he's just saying all these things about life. Like, what is the purpose of all this? You know,
Yeah.
and then he said there's, and you know, he's Solomon. Solomon wrote this. The Queen of Sheba visited Solomon. Like Solomon was known to be the wisest man on earth, you know, and he wrote this
Wow.
book.
Yeah.
And it says there's nothing better for a person than that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. And for
Mm,
me, I'm just like, what I'm after right now, and what's bringing me so much life is not what I'm doing or where I'm trying to go or what I'm trying to get to, but it's this like gift that's inside of me that I get to try to enjoy the day
yeah.
with whatever
Yeah.
I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as we discover our purpose, like we start to live out those things, like our toil becomes something that we enjoy.
Yeah, yeah,
So like as I'm
yeah.
discovering my purpose, like what I'm doing behind the chair, for instance, is
Mm,
starting to shift. And I really
mm,
haven't like changed
mm.
things up in like probably like the last 7 years of like how I'm doing hair. I've sort of been on this journey of like discovering, you know, hair color, and I've seen myself as a hair colorist and all these things. But I've found myself like 7 years later, 7 years into grinding that out, like kind of being burnt out. And I'm like asking myself, okay, somewhere along the way, I got off my path, my journey, and someone else's idea of success became my own, and I was pursuing that.
That's possible.
Does that make sense? So
It's possible.
as I'm like discovering my purpose, I'm starting to see like things that inspire me that I didn't allow myself to see before, and I'm doing those, and I'm finding fulfillment and joy in my toil
Well, let me ask you
and my
this.
work.
Did you used to find fulfillment and enjoyment in your previous work?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not that maybe you were, you know, it's possible that you weren't necessarily, it's possible that you were still living what you were supposed to be living in that time, but
Yeah,
maybe you want your garden to look a little different today, and that's okay.
look a little different. Yeah,
And maybe
yeah,
some plants that have you were, you know, maybe this little plant, what was a, you know, a bunch of roses, you're gonna uproot all those, and you're gonna put in, you know, a little walkway and lilies on the side. You know, maybe it's just time to cultivate something new.
yeah. I think that's good. Well, and I think it really was like it has been a beautiful journey, and I still really enjoy a lot of what I'm doing. I think my focus had just like the like why behind the what I was doing had sort of gotten lost in somewhere along the way, like where it was like
Yeah,
I was more pursuing like the fruit of something that I could do more than just like being like
yeah.
loving what I was doing
The
and allowing
motive.
that fruit to come. Yeah, the motive. And so through this idea of like defining success and defining what my purpose is and all of that, I'm starting to be inspired by things that were different than what I was inspiring from before. And I'm really allowing myself to be inspired by things that aren't necessarily going to like bring any sort of achievement, but just bring joy and fulfillment. But
I
I
love it.
think that is the achievement. I think that is like the ultimate
That's
like achievement. Like okay, I didn't make $1 million, but like I had an amazing conversation. And and it's not binary. It's not like, well, you throw all of these like investments out, you throw all the things out that like um have been like stressing you out or whatever, and then you just like go into you just live your life as a hermit. Like I think as you start discovering your purpose, like some more of these things like start to come alive, and it brings that fruit that you're talking about from a garden. And the one of the pictures that I think of when you talk about a garden is there's these like rejuvenated farms. There's this documentary on Hulu called The Biggest Little Farm, and it's beautiful.
Oh
And it's
yeah.
basically where these have you seen it?
Yes.
It's basically where these farmers like buy this plot of land in California that's completely dead. The ground is
Yeah.
eroded. There's
Yeah.
no animals. There's no crops. It's worthless. It's literally worthless. And they start planting everything.
Yeah.
And they plant everything. They plant cover crops. They plant avocado trees. They plant everything. But they do it in this way that like this land over the next 7 years, it builds its own ecosystem where
Yeah.
literally all wild stock, like birds, land animals, everything comes in to be there. All of this crazy cover crops growing. When the rain and floods come, the soil is so healthy, and it's got all these like healthy biomes and bacteria in it, and it actually holds the moisture
Wow.
of when it comes. And in 7 years, this plot of eroded land turns into this lush like Garden of Eden. I'm telling you, it's like
Wow.
beautiful. And it all started from these like little like purposeful things that are contrary to modern farming, but are these like ancient ideas of farming of where you let
Hmm.
the land sort of sort itself out, right? And you just give it this like gentle direction of like the path that it's supposed to be on. And I find that our life is the same way. Like when we give ourselves these like we get rid of some of these like modern ideas, these like you know like go go go, work work work, achieve
Yeah.
achieve achieve, high achieving. We go back to the purpose of life and we start to water that garden. All of
Yeah.
these like fruits begin to grow: relationships,
Yeah.
finances, health, wealth, all of these
So,
things, mental health.
so powerful, man. I can't just help but to think of like life times in my life where I felt like that land. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing that could come
Absolutely.
from this. So hearing all that, I know that defining success sounds like such a tough thing to do, and it is a tough thing to do. I haven't even asked myself that question, but if you could define success today for yourself, or tell me at least how it's changed for you, what would you say, and how would you go about that?
I think I think success evolves. I think it changes with the journey and with the path. I think today's success looks like something that different than it will look like in 3 months.
Hmm.
Um, it will be the same, but there might be like other things added to that, or my focus might shift. But um,
Okay. How
it's
about
hard.
this?
It's hard.
How
It's
about
hard.
this?
But I would say off the top of my head, I want to hear
Okay.
what you have to say. But off the top of my head,
Okay.
it looks like me being myself fully.
Oh, okay.
Um,
That's great.
yeah,
I love
yeah,
that. I think that's a great, I think that's a very successful thing. Um, so success for you today, or at least right now in your journey is being yourself fully, accepting yourself fully,
yeah.
being yourself, all that.
Both,
Yeah.
both. Yeah,
Uh, I would say, God, it's so funny because like this part of this journey for me, oh God, okay. I would say success for me today is it's like two things. It's two things. It's it's allowing myself to feel the the emotions I'm having in the moment, whether it's anger, sadness, happiness. Sometimes I don't even allow
yeah,
myself to be happy, for whatever
yeah,
reason.
yeah, yeah,
One way I would define success is actually allowing myself to have the feelings that are coming to me by my life and the experience I'm having, And then also, right now for me, success is eating, drinking, and finding enjoyment in my toil.
Mm,
That is such a
yeah.
six that is success for me. And then even like a fun little thing we could do, like today, if I'm gonna look at the end, if I'm gonna go to bed at the end of the day today, and I'm gonna say, was today a successful day? For me, I would say if I found enjoyment in it, I would just have, it's a successful day.
Yeah. Successful days if I, um, instead of judging those areas of my life, that all those areas that you talked about, which I have as well, and I'm the first one to judge myself. I think, instead of judging those parts of my life, I'm learning to get curious about those parts and lean into those ideas, those feelings, and ask questions and kind of
God.
figure out what's going on. And
Yeah.
the way that you do that is you have to approach that with a ton of kindness, with no judgment. There has to be like zero fucking judgment when you go to that like place inside of yourself where you're just wanting to judge. If I can go today and I can be kind to myself and have those conversations of myself in those areas that I'm not pleased with or I'm not where I should be,
Mhm.
I think that's a really successful day.
Yeah, and I don't want to open up another can of worms. I think we can wrap up here. But, growing up in the Bible Belt like me and you did, a lot of us were told mistakes were sin, and
Right.
so we have this thing ingrained in us that's not true. And I will go, maybe that's a topic for another day. But,
I know,
in
dude.
my walk with God and Jesus and the Bible and all that, I've learned that that's not true. And God is like the most kind and gentle, like entity, in my mistakes.
He is.
And,
Yeah. He's very
and
well acquainted with our humanity.
yeah,
God is very well acquainted with our humanity. And
yeah,
the areas of life that we judge ourselves are human errors. It's the area of humanity.
yeah. Well, hey, thanks for joining me for coffee today. Thank you for anybody who joined. We appreciate you. Appreciate those who like and subscribe. It's cool. We have had 6 new subscribers this month, and so I hope you guys are enjoying this. We'd love to hear more from you and what you want to talk about. Maybe line up some more interviews. So have a great Thursday. Get out there and make a snowman. See you next week for coffee break. What you got,
Or an
Michael?
Iceman.
Iceman.
An Iceman. Make an Iceman.
All right.
Later, everyone. Love you guys.
Love you.